the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
How good is that? Hey, an unusual pitch for how to decrease teenagers vaping in New South Wales has been heard by a government inquiry. Dr. Colin Mendelsohn. He knows his stuff, Cole. But he's come out, this is an interesting one, because he's saying that at schools, if you want to wean kids off the vaping, you've got to find vaping areas that they can do it. So a designated outdoor vaping area that students that are suffering from withdrawals, because this is what they'll go through. They'll have withdrawals. It's not as easy as just,
any nicotine.
Just get off the vapes. You just can't get off the vapes, Kate.
Depends how long you've been vaping for.
So,
but that's what you've got to commit to, the withdrawals. If you commit to the smoking, you've got to commit to the withdrawals to get out the other side.
yeah, but you know what? If there's a vaping area at a school, as if the other kids aren't going to get stuck into those kids that are just vaping from the outside. I suppose it's not going to be like a fenced-off area.
It could be like in the airports where it's a glass
smoker's
box.
room.
It would be. But you have to, he said
How
you have
delicious.
to register for the area. So you have to register through the school saying, I'm trying to get off vaping. I don't want to vape anymore. So can I have a quick little suck over here during lunchtime and I can slowly wean myself off it?
Is the argument that if you have a designated area and time to do it, that like in class you won't have it in your pocket or in your hoodie and do it all day?
Sneak it up your sleeve, man.
I need to get a very good friend on the show.
Yeah.
Robert Crash Craddock. He's one of the best sports journalists this country's ever produced, and he's a good friend of mine. He joins us now. Crash, welcome to the show, buddy.
How are you, Fitzy? Whipper, Kate. Nice start to the day to join you.
Crash, thanks for coming on, buddy. It's an honour to have you on the show.
It's an interesting topic, isn't it, the vaping one? It really is.
It is. And Crash, I want to know, they're thinking about having designated vaping areas here at school, but Crash, you told me a story. You had a different thing at your high school growing up. Can you tell the guys what happened at your school?
Yeah, well, it was at Frawley College, and we were allowed to smoke back in the 80s in our last year because the teachers were sick of picking up cigarette butts out of the urinals, and they said, all right, there's no warehouse smoke there. So, Fitzy, my best mate used to arrive at school. I sat beside him. He had a packet of Benson and Hedges extra mould in his top pocket every day. You could see it in the classroom.
Yeah.
And but we developed the mannerisms, too, of smokers. I was an asthmatic. What an idiot. But in the exam time, I would smoke. And I always remember taking the big jaw back, going, God, chemistry sucks.
Like you were Kerry Packer.
Crash, you said to me that you actually hated smoking, but because it was legal at school and everyone did it, peer pressure, you just smoked.
Oh, well, you did. And honestly, my head I remember having one before an English exam, and my head was just spinning because I was an asthmatic with small lungs. Fitzy, what was I thinking? What an idiot.
I mean,
But it's funny how, Kate, the more you have, the more you want. When they said you could smoke at the warehouse, a few of us said, can we smoke in class as well? And they said, are you idiots? And we thought, oh, God, you're so straighty 180 not letting us do that, so...
Crash, the combination of nicotine and Ventolin is just beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No wonder my marks were so poor. It was an interesting time, but I guess one relevant point was none of my mates that smoked at school smoked after school. Like, It was almost as if the novelty had passed through them.
Yeah.
And I thought of that when you were talking about the vaping and the vaping areas. I've heard people say, gee, I bet you that started a lot of people off on the wrong foot at school smoking. Actually, believe it or not, it went the other way.
Yeah, right. Crash, you're off the darts now, aren't you? No more smoking for Crash Craddock?
No, I haven't had one for about 40 years, but I've got to say this, though. It was that they were... back in the 80s, like where you were sitting now in a studio, there would be 3 people smoking at any given time. I sit in a newsroom at work where at any given time, with no windows, there would have been 25 people.
I know.
smoking.
It's hilarious. I've told that story too. I think back at Channel 7 in the day, the cameraman even doing the news would before they go to the news, they'd go live for the news, but they'd put their cigarette out on the camera before they went live.
Oh my God!
And the last bastion was Shane Warne, who at every cricket ground in Australia, Warney had his little smoking area where he'd sneak into a room and someone would give him a wink and a nudge and say, "In there, Warney," and away he'd go for a little secret puff.
Well done, Crash. Thanks for coming on the show. Love you, buddy.
Pleasure.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
We are having an unnecessary amount of showers in this country, and maybe the Brits are doing it better, where they might have one a week. Is that like an old thing, or are they still just doing one shower a week in the UK?
We shower for way too long in this country.
Way too long, yeah. Remember
way too long.
The little stopwatches or the little clocks got sent out in the post and you had to put it in your shower? You'd stick it on your wall, you'd set your timer for 3 minutes and you had to be out.
Well, the drought, the water restrictions, I mean, it got pretty scary there for a while.
Yeah, it did. Remember there was hazy days that went on forever and ever as the, what are they called? The dams continued to shrink. And we were sitting, the reservoirs, they were continuing to shrink and get lower and lower. And we were thinking, will it ever rain again? Will we ever see rain again?
I know, it was crazy, wasn't it? Like, and then the plight of the farmers, like, it was out of control. And then, I don't know, now, once you get that dam 100% full again, everyone is just washing their cars out in the street and showers just go up again. I think a lot of people would have learnt, though, look, we just got to look after ourselves and just get into the shower quick, in and out. I think I do. I'm always conscious of it now.
Yeah, I know. I think it changes as depending on the person you are too, because when you have 3 kids at home, if you can be in the shower with nobody else there, it's like a treat. You're locked in your own little happy place. Yeah. This doctor goes on to say that healthy skin maintains a layer of oil and good bacteria, and if we have showers every day, we're going to rub off that good bacteria. We're washing and scrubbing too often. We can remove what the skin is meant to be.
Yeah, but do you? Well, I sweat every day, and then when that sweat goes away, I stink.
Yeah.
I stink, man, and
Yeah,
you know what?
man.
I'm the first to admit it, man.
I'm a stinker.
After a bit of a sesh, man, I will stink.
I will stink. What are we doing? Are you doing 2 showers a day, Tommy?
Yeah, I'm 2 showers.
You'd be 2 showers, Fitz?
Yeah, 2 showers. See, the kids are an interesting one because kids, they won't shower. They'll have 1 shower a week if they could.
Yeah, they would.
This is the thing, but we're trying to get them in before school to have a shower and then a shower when you get home from school sport.
Yeah.
But even that's tough. Tommy, how many times do you clean your teeth a day?
Yeah, that's sometimes 3 times, guys. Just to I have a fear of bad breath.
You do.
And how often does Inga gurney you?
Well, the gurney's now down to once a week because she doesn't want to be a water wally. So once a week, which is good.
Can I tell you the problem with body odour, Tom?
Ideally not in the driveway.
No. Outside on the front lawn there is.
Tom's getting washed down again.
I should get Dollar Dog Wash to come round. Fitz, the problem with your sweating, and I think this is the issue with gyms, right, is a lot of guys wear singlets. Now, if you don't have the bit of material that goes up under your arm like on a T-shirt, then that absorbs the sweat. When your skin is rubbing like that at the gym, that's what brings on the stink. And I was doing a workout the other day without a shirt on, if you just want to enjoy your breakfast. Oh, sorry, mate.
Oh, God.
And I realised... Sorry, we'll start again.
Sorry, we should dump that, guys. Can we dump that?
Let's start again, just so we get an honest reaction, so we're not over-dramatising. So I was working out the other day without a T-shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I realised that I smelt more, like I stunk more, because I didn't have a shirt on.
Yeah, but see, it would look like you do have a jumper on.
No,
that's the thing, because you're so hairy.
I'm not wearing a doona, mate. That's not what it looks like.
Oh, my gosh. Whipper's got that new black cashmere top on.
Save me,
Cash
Vanessa.
me outside.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Amy Poehler's in the country. What an absolute superstar. The movie is Inside Out 2. We got a chance to catch up with her. Amy Poehler, welcome to the Fitzy Whipper Kate Ritchie show.
Thank you.
I don't think we've had you on the show before.
No, I've only been here one other time 9 or 10 years ago. And
for the first movie.
That's right. It's good luck to be back again.
I know that, Kate, because as you do, we were there last night. We loved the Q&A. It was awesome.
Oh, thanks.
And the film is clever.
It's so good. It's really, really good.
And I think the other thing is too, when you talk about Pixar and how they're sensitive towards teenagers, you can tell in the detail that's in the film that they have made sure they've ticked off everything appropriately.
Yeah, they're geniuses over there. They take things very seriously. They have these big, fun, funny films, but underneath all the vegetables, they do their work. They're really, really interesting. And they just create these worlds and a way to talk about things that feels very creative and new.
Yeah. I was just saying in the car on the way here, though, films like this, they do make parenting hard on a morning like I have had where my daughter didn't want to go to school, and what I would normally, old
Which emotion
school,
were you this morning?
I don't know. I was one of the emotions trapped in the jar, but because
you weren't joy.
No, I was not joy, and because of films like this, and this is great for my daughter, is that hard, tough love and just go to school and let's not talk about this just isn't an option anymore.
I know.
I'm happy about.
I love what they do in the second film is they take those primary emotions, the one that we're getting to know, and they bottle them up.
Yeah.
And these new ones come in that confuse everyone. They're really complicated. They're tricky. They're hard to pin down, and you kind of reminisce for the easier, sad, happy, scared.
They're the primary
those.
Colours of emotions, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you're right. When I was watching the film last night, you do go back and think about when the puberty button was hit on your panel board, and there's some dark years, man. I was like, I had pubes in grade 4.
I know.
I grew really early, and that's for another day.
Did you have a full mustache?
Yeah, I did. Dad taught me to shave. Mum taught me to shave. Everybody went through it, and I had to work my whole body over.
Yeah, you went straight to work. You got a 9 to 5 when you were 10.
You did. From a boy to a man.
Yeah.
But he's fine about it.
Like no hang-ups.
So
no
fine.
hang-ups at all. Embarrassment wasn't there, hiding under a hoodie. Do you know what I loved when you were talking about improv? And I've been to Upright Citizens Brigade.
You have?
Yes, I have.
Wow.
And I loved it, but I loved also that you could relate it to your real life and your day-to-day, where your reaction is yes and.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a great angle. Can you explain that?
Sure. There's this tenet in improv that you can say yes to things and it'll move the action forward. So if you want, you can stop what you're doing. You can stop somebody. You can put a halt to where you're going. But if you say yes and agree, you might get somewhere together. So that bigger idea, I think, can apply to life. Why not say yes to some things? Or at the very least, keep an open mind as to what someone is suggesting.
Yeah.
That has definitely worked in my favor. They just blindfolded me and put me on a plane, and I ended up in Australia. And
twice.
Yeah, and they were like, "Do you want to do this interview?" And I said, "Yes,
and where am I?
yes,
What
and
is this
yes."
harbour thing?
And I don't have my passport.
You know what else I love too? Talking about Saturday Night Live and the work you've done, and how you still go on to do things, and there are moments where you feel awkward, which you have to embrace the awkwardness, but also how at the time there were comments like, "Comedy is dead."
Yes,
is comedy over?
I started SNL in 2001 in New York City, a very tough time to be doing live comedy. And, I think, SNL's it's going to celebrate its 50th year.
Wow.
So it's certainly had its many headlines of, best cast ever left. Can we rebuild?
Is there anything?
Yeah. Is there anything left? And it's a good reminder that things come in cycles and that people like to make headlines like that over and over again. But yeah, I started it when it was a really difficult time. And by the end of my tenure there, we were back doing tons of political sketches, and the world felt a little bit more.
Yeah, because you've got to be brave to do that too.
Yeah, it is like an emergency room. You just you don't panic. There's nothing you want. You don't want to go to an emergency room and see a bunch of people running around yelling, saying, "What are we going to do?" So everyone just kind of disassociates and gets into a zone, and then wakes up from a dream 10 years later.
Hoping that everything's okay.
Yeah, processes it.
I love that. Amy, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you both. Thank you. Pleasure.
The Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Imagine this. Guy gets a phone call. He says, "We'd like to rent your house." He says, "Not open for rent." They say, "Well, we'd really, really like to rent your house." He says, "I'm actually not interested in renting my house. I don't know how you got my number. This house is not on a rental website. I live here." They then said, "Well, let me help you with your decision. I need to rent your house for a week. That's all. So you're just going to need to move out for a week. And here's the kicker. I'm going to give you $500,000 for that week."
What?
He said that it doesn't make sense. The property's only worth $500,000. They say, I don't care, we need the house, we need it for a week, $500,000.
Where is this?
He assumes it's a prank. Then it turns out
Stitch up classics.
it was Rihanna wanting the house that was in the perfect location for her Super Bowl performance last year. She wanted that house, and there was no negotiation to be had.
Is this a little bit of bratty behaviour there, where it's like, I want this, Daddy. I want the golden tickets to Wonka's factory, Daddy.
Apparently it was the only house that was to her standard in this certain area called Paradise Valley.
And is that what do you mean? It was up the road from Super Bowl?
Yeah, I believe so. In the perfect spot for Super Bowl.
It's not a bad name for a suburb, is it? Paradise Valley.
Paradise Valley.
Can't go wrong, can you?
That's like, when they change shopping areas.
But you never know where it is because everybody's Paradise Valley is different.
We grew up next to Hackham West, which was horrible, so they changed it to Hunfield Heights.
How was that?
That
That's
sounds
fancy.
really nice. Let's go there and start a family.
He said, the last thing I am is a real estate baron, but if I have to go on holiday for $500,000, then I'll do it.
Of course, I guess he just left the furniture there. I want to see a photo of the house.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it was anything spectacular.
When you were on Home and Away, can we talk about celebrities at your house?
Yeah, I want to know about a celebrity.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
I mean, who's
been at my house?
Yeah, who would have been the biggest back in the day at did Mum and Dad ever have any of the actors over? Like, did anyone come? Yeah,
we did. We had like
Ada Nicodemo.
No, not Ada. Tracy Mann. I don't know if you know Tracy Mann. She played my mother in Cyclone Tracy, so she's been to the house. Alex Paps, Isla Fisher.
I loved
This is
Alex
to my little
Paps.
house in Campbelltown.
Oh, Isla went to the Campbelltown house.
Yeah, on the way to the Blue Mountains.
Great.
We stopped there, and then my brother has a very cute photo with Isla.
Yeah.
And Isla always asks about my brother, how's he going and stuff.
Well, they've got the same colour hair, don't they? They would have looked like brother and sister themselves.
Yeah, kind of. Good one. I'm trying to think who else has been there. What about you guys? Have you had a famous person?
No, there weren't many celebrities that were allowed into our area.
Who have I had? 13, 24, 10. I'd love to know, out of the blue, has a celebrity turned up at your house? Why were they there? Like, call the show and drop a name right now.
Christina, who'd you have over at yours?
Silverchair.
Oh! What? Why were they? Was that a film clip or something, Christina, or a party?
No. So we were growing up on the Central Coast at the time, so it was 1999, so they were pretty fairly new into the music industry back then. And my brother was part of what was known back then as the Newcastle Crew.
Yeah.
So they all hung around together, and we had a massive party at my parents' house on New Year's Eve 1999, and there was Daniel Johns and Chris Jono there. Ben Gillies didn't make it, but yeah, neither did Natalie Imbruglia, because it was when he was seeing Natalie.
Chris is one of the nicest blokes you'll ever meet in your life. He is magnificent.
You know what? They both were. Daniel Johns is just so down to earth. He stood in my mother's laundry comparing nail polish with her.
Oh, now that is a story that your mum will take to the grave.
Isn't that fantastic?
100%. They are just beautiful people, and to this day, I still love silk skirts.
Good on you,
Yeah,
Christina. Great story.
Shelley, who'd you have, Shelley?
Well, I had Warwick Capper as my babysitter.
Your babysitter? Wow.
G'day, Warwick Capper here. I'm here to do your babysitting.
That's criminal. Your parents.
I know.
Fits in Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great shows like this, download the Nova Player via the App Store or Google Play.
The Nova Player.